All right. Hey, Graham Anderson here. Welcome to workout number one. At my garage gym, you can see I've got a piece of cardio here. I've got the Total Gym, Chuck Norris style, and then I've got a bunch of weights and things I've collected over the years. We are going to start off with testing. We need to know where we're at so we know where we're going to try to get to. If we're just going into workouts blindly, that is going to do us no good. So everything we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we have progression and we have a starting point, we have a finishing point. Our test today, we're going to test push-ups, we're going to test squats, and we're going to test the total gym pull-up. And that's it. Simple day. Let's have some fun. All right, day one, test one. We're working push-ups. We're going to get as many push-ups as we can. When we do our push-ups, we're concentrating on our pec, the front part of our shoulder, our front delt, and our triceps, making the movement happen. Everybody has the floor. Oh, mine's dirty. Beautiful. We're going to have our hands right underneath our shoulder blades. We're going to lower ourselves down, hover right above the ground, and press up. You don't actually have to rotate around like I was just trying to show you that I am hovering. I am not lying on the ground. Down and up, down and up. You don't want your hips coming up too high. You don't want your hips sagging down too low. Do as many reps as you can and then write it down. And that's it, all right? Let's say the push-ups are too hard or you don't want to do those yet. You feel more comfortable doing push-ups on your knees. That's fine. Nothing's really changed. I am just now pressing through my knees to lower myself down and push myself up instead of on my feet. If you don't feel comfortable getting up and down off the ground, I totally understand. We can utilize a chair, or we can utilize our kitchen countertop. Where we put our hands on the kitchen countertop, we lower ourselves down and press ourselves up. Regardless of what plane, or regardless of what piece you use, the ground or a countertop, bring your chest, lower your chest down to right above the countertop or the floor. Don't just guess. Don't go half push-ups. Nobody knows how many reps you get besides you. So this is all on you to see how many reps you can do for your chest, your front delt, and your triceps through that sagittal plane. Okay? Enjoy, have fun. I'll see you in the next test. All right, you survived test number one, push-ups. I hope you got some water in between. I hope you wrote it down, and I hope you're proud of how well you did. As long as you push yourself to your limit, nobody can ask for more. The next exercise we're going to do is we're going to test our squats. Okay, squats are working out our legs, our quads, our hamstrings, our glutes, our lower back even. Everything that you can possibly think of, squats are going to hit. I'm lucky enough that I can do squats with an external resistance. I have a bunch of weights here in my gym. If you're not accustomed to having weights in your gym, just do body weights. Body weight squats, go up and down. Get as many reps in as you can. And again, as long as we're tracking, we are going to get better. For our squat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize this kettlebell. I'm going to hold it upside down just because it's a little more comfortable. My shoulders are back, my hips and my feet. My feet are about a little bit wider than shoulder length apart. I'm going to drive my hips back, sit low, and drive up from my hip. Notice my chest is not leaning forward. Notice I'm not pushing too far out on the knees. And notice how my hips are my driving force. What we don't want to see is a lot of leaning forward, putting excess stress on the lower back and on that spinal column. We also don't want to shoot our knees too far forward, creating more of a knee dominant motion. And we want this to be a hip dominating motion. Reason being is most of us don't utilize our hips near enough. So let's get those engaged a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more out of this exercise. And let's engage an area that since we don't utilize, we're going to burn more calories. If you don't have a kettlebell or some kind of external resistance, again, nothing changes. The movement is still the same. Down and up. If you don't feel comfortable with that, grab a chair. Abs tight, drive up from the hip, sit straight up. My abs are tight. I'm not leaning forward, pushing off of my legs. If you feel like your chair might be too low, utilize a step, utilize an extra cushion, a pillow. Give yourself a little bit more height. Nothing's changed. My hips, touch and up, touch and up. As that gets easier, because everything's going to get easier because we're working through this process together. Once we get rid of that step and we go back to our regular seat, we know something's happened. We've done something to make ourselves better, and that's exciting. So let's do it. All right, last test of the day. We are going to do the total gym pull-up. If we don't all have a total gym in our house or have access to utilizing one, don't worry, I'll have plenty of alternatives for you. But since I do have this, I'm going to utilize it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lie down on my Total Gym Extreme. It just sounds cool to say, by the way. Once I'm in this position, I'm driving my elbows and my shoulders down, keeping my arm, my forearm, my upper part of my arm, my bicep, tricep area, and the trunk of my body all in alignment. I relax the tissue and I pull. Relax and pull. I'm not trying to come down here. I'm not trying to pull too high. I'm not trying to utilize the bicep too much. The point of this motion is to do scapular retraction or drive that shoulder blade down and back. You're trying to strengthen up as much muscle structure that surrounds that spine as possible. So areas that we're thinking about, we're concentrating on are those rhomboids, that lat, and your traps. All muscles that innervate the spine, all the large tissue that innervates the spine to help with our posture and take stress off of our lower backs, okay? Now, if you don't have access to a total gym and you have weights at the house, you could do a simple bent over row. Now we're doing more scap retraction versus scap depression, but notice that I bent in the hip, not the back, and notice that I am driving the elbows into the pocket, is like what I like to call it, not up, creating stress on that neck. If we don't have access to weights, you could do pull-ups. If you have a big tree in the backyard, you could do that. If all else fails, you could even grab on the back side of our chair, get into a low, lean position, and think about the arm pulling around, down and around in a lat pull-over position. So I'm here, I'm driving up and back. Even though it looks like my legs are doing the work, my legs are kind of just there as I'm thinking about my arm pulling me forward, right underneath that armpit area. So those are some alternatives. Have some fun. We're done with day one. Track everything you're doing. Let's make ourselves better.